Hello gorgeous people, how are you all today? I hope you're well. I'm grinning a lot. Welcome to month 60. I didn't in a million years imagine I would be sitting here one day saying welcome to month 60. Of course what month 60 means is it's the end of 5 years. Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 years. Oh my giddy goodness. I am celebrating today. This is such a treat. I have real champagne. Actual real champagne. Not Prosecco. Real champagne. I can't remember the last time. When I see Richard and Paul, we like a few glasses of bubbles. I think it's always Prosecco though. Unless if they slip me some proper champagne at some point. I don't know. But anyway, you know what? Yeah, it's an absolute extravagance, but 5 years, I mean, come on. So I'm going to sip as we celebrate together. Yum! Yummy bubbles! Oh my goodness, I need to catch my breath a bit. I'm having a slightly manic day without the fact that it's 5 years, because I'm just trying to squeeze an awful lot into today. First thing this morning, I went all the way down the hill to the far end to get my bloods done again. And while I was down there, there's one of those, those big kind of like supermarkets, and that's where I went to buy the champagne. And because it was all the way down there that I bought it, I've opened it in the kitchen, not on camera, because it's been in my backpack and I thought it might explode. Actually, it didn't too much. But yeah, so went and got that there because, decent selection. It was on offer, so it was a tad under 20 quid. So the way I see it, that's £4 per year of living beyond frugally. I've earned it. And then on my way home, on the bus, because it's far enough to warrant a bus ride, I jumped off a couple of stops earlier than home in order to then go to the garden to plant the spuds. Yay! That's going to be the next video you see. I'm so glad I got them in before May. I don't know, there's something bugging me about the May deadline. Then I've come back from the garden and I've had to do other bits and bobs of pop into the post office, a bit of shopping, all sorts of different shops, random stuff, string, batteries, loo roll, all different places. Come home. So I'm going to have my sit down and chat and celebration with you now. I'm actually sneaking it in one day. I'm filming on the 29th rather than the 30th, but we'll pretend it's the 30th. The reason for doing that is because I knew that I wanted to have a glass of champagne. And that's permitted. It's about 3 o'clock now. That's okay in the afternoon. What I didn't want to do was film tomorrow morning because I'm hoping to go back to the garden. So if I drink a bottle of champagne at 8:30 in the morning to film this, there won't be a garden. Oh my goodness. So, it's almost hard to articulate. Obviously I've been thinking about this today for the last kind of couple of months really, when I've sat down to do my thoughts on at the end of the month, as those numbers have clocked up, month 58, month 59. And I just want to say something right from the outset. The way I was brought up, you never brag about anything. You don't ever show any pride in anything because, pride, it's a sin and all that kind of stuff. But I am proud and I am going to show off a bit. I'm going to get emotional. It's been a big deal for me. Right, I can't get this emotional straight away. Let it happen. Oh, there we go. In control again. It is a big deal. It's a massive deal. And I am proud about it. And I'm going to blow my own trumpet for once, because I don't generally. I try to live humbly. I try to live with humility. And I suppose even today when I'm being proud, I hope I'm still humble. The fact is, 5 years ago today, I received my last ever paycheck. I mean, can you imagine? And that's what I mean about how I kind of take my life for granted now of what I'm doing. But when you stop and think about it, it's huge. It's a huge deal. Can you imagine, those of you who are working right now, can you imagine if, here we are at the end of April, if today, the paycheck you get today is the last ever paycheck you get? What are you going to do at the end of May? Because you'll have spent April's paycheck. What would you do if that was it? If there was no more pay? It's big, isn't it? And I know there'll be some people who've not been on my channel very long. So, and just to explain again, because it does come up from time to time and people are curious and they don't understand and I think some people frankly don't believe. If you don't believe, ask Richard and Paul. They know me. They've been around here a million times. They know exactly how I live and that everything is for real. So, for example, the thing that people have thought in the past, so I just clarify and correct, is I don't have some sort of private income trickling in from somewhere, you know, some grand inheritance that I'm living on. I don't have a private income coming in. I don't have savings that I'm living off. I'll talk about savings in a second, but I don't have savings that I'm living off. I don't have a pension. I'm far too young and gorgeous to have a pension yet. There's years to go before I get a pension. Someone asked me that once and I was like, it was when I think I'd first started. I was 49 and she's like, oh, why didn't you get a pension? I was like, how old do you think I look? Pensions in the UK, it's for when you're 67. I don't think I look 67, do I? Maybe when I'm in pain. But yeah, no private income, no savings, no pension, and no benefits. No money from the outside world. No government assistance. Nothing. Nothing. And the reason I'm banging on about that and making that really clear is because I don't think most people think it's possible. And that's why I think some people think I'm lying and that I have got a secret stash of cash somewhere. Honestly, if I had a secret stash of cash somewhere, do you not think I might go away for a weekend to the beach? Anyway, I think people just think it's not possible. And sometimes when I think about it, I think, yeah, how is it possible? So, it's possible because couple of years or so before I left work was around about that time that I paid off my mortgage, paid off my student loan. My student loan was massive because when you're training as a student nurse, you can't fit a part-time job in. So I had to have a loan. I actually took a loan in order to be able to pay my mortgage. So I ended up with £30,000 of debt. £30,000 to become a nurse. Anyway, that was all paid off. So all that time I was working as a nurse, I scrimped, saved, didn't splash out at all because I was busy paying off my debt, paying off my mortgage. I'd been overpaying the mortgage before nursing as well. But yeah, not having the mortgage, made it possible, and having the garden. So that day, 5 years ago, when I left work, I was trying to remember the other day, it was about £2,000 in savings that I had. Excuse me, I need to blow my nose. Sorry, hang on, let me blow my nose off camera. That's better. Yeah, I left work, I think it was about £2,000 in savings. And really, it wasn't much in terms of savings because the previous year, I'd been off work until July because of the stupid broken wrists and statutory sick pay. I mean, I can't remember, it was like 300 quid a month in the end I was getting. And I couldn't live with £300 at that time. Anyway, so I'd depleted savings from that. And other things, like sorting onto teapot out, had taken pretty much all my savings away. So I had £2,000. Then, of course, that last paycheck was £2,000. And my grandma died and she left me £1,000. So in other words, it was about 5 grand, and I thought, wow, can I live for a year on 5 grand? Sorry, so I was just thinking about something. Oh my goodness, I was just having a flashback. I was thinking about my grandma. Sorry, yeah, could I live for a year on a grand? So there I was. I had to leave work because of the stupid knees, and I thought, well, you know what? Let's just see. Let's have an experiment. Is it possible to live basically from the food from the garden and this little bit of cash I've got? I don't think it was 5 grand. I'm thinking 2 grand of savings being the last check that I had for 2 grand. I think that's what it was. I'm thinking that last check became savings. I'm pretty certain it wasn't 5 grand that first year. I think it was 3 grand. Anyway, yeah, it was an experiment to see, can I live off the land? Can I live off the land and with a bit of make, do and mend? So in other words, I won't be buying anything. If something breaks, I need to repair it myself. I have to get a bit inventive, upcycle things that I already have, alter clothes if needs be. But essentially, I was having a no-spend year, apart from the essentials, the bills. Although I would never have thought of it as a no-spend year at that time. But yeah, essentially that's what it was. And yeah, that first year flew by. The first about 3 months were odd because, so I was already off. I hadn't been in work at all in April. They signed me off sick because of my knees. I was in such a state. So April, May and June, those first 3 months. And then of course at the beginning of July in that first year, my sister took me to the south of France for my birthday. So those first 3 months, it was weird. It felt like a holiday. It didn't feel like, oh, this is it now. This is my new life. This is it. So I think, and also because it was sort of late spring, early summer, crack on with the garden. And it was that time of like, oh, it really has to work this year because I'm going to rely on the food. That was the first year when I really got a bit sort of like, oh, this has to work because it's my food. I mean, it had worked every year before. Why would it suddenly not work? But yeah, that was the first time I felt a little bit of pressure. But certainly a combination of the novelty of it, the warmth, it was summer, then having a holiday in France, coming home, being on cloud 9 from it. It all just was very happy, very cruising along, lovely, la 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 la. And it wasn't really until, I think probably as it got into about the November, and of course the days were shorter, the days suddenly they're darker and colder, which is quite miserable making. The garden needs far less of my time and attention. And that's when the reality, in a way, first, it sort of really bit in that first winter. Just little things like, oh my goodness, do I put the heating on? How's the money situation? And up to that point, I'd started my YouTube channel. I'd had my Facebook page for, I don't know, at that stage about 3 or 4 years. And I'd had my website for about 2 or 3 years. So I'd already started building that social media base long before I gave up work and long before I did YouTube. But yeah, we got into the winter, and at that stage, the revenue from YouTube was, it was a pittance. It didn't cover my bills. So I was using that, grand from my grandma and the couple of thousand from my last paycheck. I was sort of biting into a bit of those every month to sort of pull over to pay off the bills and for the bits of food shopping that I still do, because I can't grow everything. Obviously I can't grow everything. And all those other bits and pieces that we need from time to time, like loo rolls, laundry liquid, that sort of thing. So yeah, as we got into the winter, it was a bit like, oh, this is kind of a bit scary actually, because I don't have a safety net. I don't have savings now. I don't have anything. Nothing is coming in unless I generate it. YouTube is not generating enough money not even for my bills. I'm nibbling away at the little bit of money I do have. It's going to be gone in another 5 or 6 months' time. What am I going to do? Oh, well, you know, let's see if I can make it to the end of April. Then I'll have done a whole year. And then I can sort of say I'm not a failure. But it was over that winter that a couple of friends asked me to do some sewing bits for them that they would buy from me and they would use as gifts for their friends, partners, what have you. So I said, yeah, no problem. So I did a few bits and pieces that winter, and I got quite a bit of fabric stashed. I've always had a fabric stash. And actually, frankly, you know, stuff needed using up. So I ended up doing just little bits and bobs of commissions just on the side. And, you know, it would be an extra 20 quid or, you know, an extra tenner here or there. And it was like, oh, thank God for that. And as we went into the spring of 2018, as I was coming up for the 1 year anniversary of having the channel and being wage free, that was when the whole shop idea was born. And obviously it's taken off since then. It's still a big juggling act for me. Every day is a juggling act for me between doing the garden, which is a lot of work, doing YouTube, it's a lot of work, doing the shop and the sewing. It's like the shop and the sewing, actually the shop is more like a part-time job, probably sort of, it's hard to say, I would say about 10 to 15 hours a week. Sewing, I try to do about 20 hours a week, sometimes more. And when I say sewing, sometimes that's hours and hours and hours of just cutting fabric. YouTube is about 30 hours a week, and the garden is about 20. It's actually, it's probably because I'm back from outside. I think it's probably a bit more than that these days, just because it takes me longer to get there on these stupid old legs. So anyway, yeah, it's the shop got introduced in 2018, great. And ever since I've been struggling to juggling. It's this itchiness. You know what? I'm sure it's because I've got teeny tiny, the finest of fine hairs escape my clips and dangle into my face. And I think that's sometimes what it is that makes me tickly itchy. So I got to the end of that first year and I thought, I'm kind of happy with this new life. I feel like I'm living more honestly to myself. I felt like my integrity was, how to put it, I'm not sure how to put it. I just felt like I was living more true to who I am. So, like, far less compromising because of the world outside and working for other people and what have you. So I just kind of slipped into carrying on doing it. And of course, in that time, in the 5 years, things have built. I'm no longer chipping into savings to pay the bills. Now, of course, you know, everything has grown. My YouTube channel was grown by the time we got to 2020 when COVID really hit. So I'd had 17, 18 and 2019. The channel had been slowly building so that in February of 2020, sort of 3 years, 17 to 18 to 19 to 20, yeah, so almost 3 years into having my channel, I was at the stage where the revenue from YouTube was paying my bills plus about £50 more each month than I needed. So it was hovering at about 300 to 350 quid a month. So it was finally paying for my bills, which meant that anything I could do by way of sewing, the shop, all of that, that would give me a little bit extra, so I could start trying to build up some savings again as a safety net for, you know, what have you, and for occasionally being able to take my foot off the gas and have a day off. I'll come on to all this in a second because I literally work 7 days a week. I've been working 7 days a week for 5 years. The only breaks have been a week off with my sister. There have been a couple of occasions when I've taken a couple of days off to go and visit with the chaps. I had a little bit of time off to be in hospital, but that's it. Otherwise, it's 7 days a week for 5 years, which is bonkers. but I'm okay with it. Anyway, yeah, so just before COVID hit, things were starting to go in the right direction. Then COVID came along, and I think all the advertisers got really nervous. Oh, it's the end of the world. They slashed what they were paying to advertise. So I'm still doing the work, I'm still doing the output. And the advertising revenue just fell through the floor. It was really scary. Plus, of course, things like auctions, car boot sales, yard sales, estate sales, all those kind of places where I was going to find bits and pieces for my shop or find vintage fabrics, old books, whatever. All these places that I'd been going to find stuff to put in my, it all shut. So suddenly I can't restock my own shop. I had fabric so I could carry on sewing, which was great, but yeah, I had nothing. I couldn't do the shop anymore. YouTube wasn't paying anymore. It was really scary, hairy, that COVID year. And we did get some support from the government, this whole government furlough scheme. But for self-employed people, it worked a bit differently. We did get help, but we were given a percentage of our normal turnover, but it was based on our accounts from 2 years previous to COVID. So of course that was when I was just starting out and I wasn't making any money. So I was getting a percentage of like no money. So I think in the end it worked out about the support I got. My furlough worked out about £40 a week. Yeah, that year, 2020, for me financially was awful, and turnover by the end of the year, it was about zero. I didn't make a loss, you know. I managed to pay my bills, but that was it. Anyway, since then, everything's going in the right direction again, and YouTube gets a little bit better for me as each year goes by. I don't know how it works, you know. I'm making the same kind of videos, and in terms of viewing, it's not like I'm suddenly having massive viewing figures, but I am a little bit more comfortable. My YouTube has gone up a bit, but thank goodness, because all my bills have gone up a bit. So where I used to look to try and get 300 quid from YouTube to cover my 300 quid bills, my bills are now at 400. So it's like, can I get 400? But you know, 450 to 500 is achievable. So it's good. So in other words, yeah, I decided to keep going, and here I am, and I'm going to keep going because fundamentally, this is where I'm at. Oh my goodness, I don't know, I've rambled. Hand on heart, I have not ever been happier than I am right now in my entire life. Apart from my knees, I was just stretching my legs, apart from my body, you know. But apart from my body, I've never been happier. Now, there have been times in my life when I have been happier than I am right now today. But what I mean is it's kind of an ecstasy for a day, you know, an exam result or the first snog with a bloke you fancy. It's short-lived. I'm talking about just this consistency of being just quite happy. Not jumping off the ceiling ecstatic, but not like down on the floor depressed. I have down days still, of course I do. And my cheeks flushing from this first bit of champagne. I have down days, of course I do. And I have days when, you know, I complain about my paycheck, as it were. I'm allowed to be cross that I only earn the equivalent of about £1.20 an hour from YouTube. Of course I am, because I'm working at it, and it's not very good pay. I'm sure anyone who works for a boss, they're allowed to complain about their pay for the day, so I am too. And it's that thing it always comes back to because of the stupid trolls. If I complain about something like that, it's not because I'm begging and want money. And by the way, there's a new begging button that YouTube have introduced. It says thanks, and it's got a $sign in it. No, it's not thanks, it's a begging button. You will not see that on my channel. If you see it, please let me know, because it won't be something I've put there. I think the creator has to put it there themselves, and I won't be doing it. Anyway, yeah, I'm allowed to complain about my work from time to time. but it doesn't mean I'm not happy. I am. You know, every now and again, oh, the hours are long. Yeah, you know, the hours are really long, and it's 7 days a week, but I love it. And it's all on my own terms, and that's the best thing about it. You know, I can really kind of, like I say, I know I do juggle, but I can jiggle as well. I can juggle and jiggle. What I mean is, you know, if I wake up one day and it's a particularly bad pain day, for instance, and I think, you know what, there's no way I'm going to get out of the flat today. There's just no way that's happening. I think, right, whatever I was planning for the garden, it'll have to wait. Okay, what can I do instead? And this is the wonderful thing about this little life I've created for myself now, where I'm looking around the room, there's a lot I can do this afternoon, is I could, you know, I can do some sewing. Or what I tend to do with the shop is, you know, I find bits and bobs on my travels and they start to round up. When I've got a little pile of items, I can think, right, okay, I'll do all the photographing and uploading of them into the shop today. Whenever I get anything home that's for the shop, unless it's textiles, they can sometimes wait to make a pile big enough for a load in the washing machine. But if it's just odd bits and bobs, a book, a vase, whatever it is, as soon as they come home, they get cleaned. So that always happens straight away. But once things are clean, I then tend to sort of set them aside until there's a few items, and I say, right, today is a sort of a photographing session and an uploading session. So this is the great thing about life now, is it's so flexible. I can be productive, I can be useful, I can be creative, no matter what's going on in my life and in my day, whether it's a cloudy or a chucking with rain day or a high pain day or whatever it is. I can still feel like I get upset about this as well. I can still feel useful. I can still feel, like I'm earning my place on this planet. And it's not just about feeling useful for me as well. It's that thing of, I can try to do things. This is what I mean about the sort of the integrity and the true to me. My world has got a little bit smaller. I mean, it's got bigger because of social media, but in terms of, you know, people and staff and what, my world has got smaller, and it's more selective. I surround myself with like-minded people. I know stuff still goes on in the world, but generally speaking, I don't have to smile through gritted teeth. I hate confrontation. You know, when someone's talking absolute rubbish, like if I was at work with a whole bunch of we go to work with our colleagues, and when we first start there, these are just all complete strangers. We don't choose our work colleagues, do we? And there were so many times I felt compromised at work, not as a nurse, not in my nursing work, but more in the sort of cultural, the socialising. I just felt compromised because I just have a different set of values to so many of these people. Of course, amongst that, I find people who are like-minded, what have you. But yeah, I just feel that I keep saying I just feel. Sorry, that's bad articulation. I'm happy that I can live a life that is, the way I'm living now is definitely more sustainable. I hope the way I'm living now, as you know, practiced over the years, and there's always more I can do, but I hope that the way I'm living now, I'm leaving less of a footprint behind. These are the things that are important to me. Like I say, there's always more I can do, but right now, I'm treading lightly on this beautiful earth, as lightly as possible. I'm trying not to compromise. And I'm happy. This is, you know what, it really is as simple as that. I'm happy. I don't have to justify that, do I? It's just a quiet, gentle happiness. All the small things. It is about simplifying. You know, in some ways, life is more complicated because I am essentially self-employed. I'm juggling all these different businesses. So that gets things a bit more complicated. But actually, it's really simple. I either grow food and I've got my hands in soil and I share that on the camera, or I stitch stuff and I spend hours with beautiful fabrics, or I sell some lovely old books and bits and bobs, keep them out of landfill. Kind of is simple, isn't it? So, that was a bit dribbly slurpy. I'm going to have a big gulp. This is lovely. I think the last... oh, fizzy wizzy. I think the last time... Oh, it's made my eyes water. I had proper champagne. Was... I can't remember who it was. It was a while ago. Was it for the Christmas of 2019 or 2018? One of you beautiful people sent me one of those gorgeous... They're so cute. It's like an individual serving. Or, yeah, one glass. It was a little bottle of Moet. Anyway, that's yummy. So, oh my goodness, I rambled. I feel like this 5 years, I think this has been a fantastic achievement for me. This is my own personal achievement. Other people may look at me and think, what have you done? What have I achieved? I've achieved a really lovely, gentle, quiet happiness. I've achieved a life which for now, I'm aware that my knees will affect things in the future, but for now is sustainable. I mean, I've proved that. I've proved that after 5 years, I don't need any help from the outside in terms of, you know, government finance or whatever. I can do it for myself. I have been enveloped by a beautiful community of like-minded souls through social media. Oh, that's been a steep learning curve, social media, crikey. Oh, and thank you for... Oh, pardon me, you know, because I started Instagram earlier this year and that's all new too. And that's more about the future with how I want to develop the sewing and things like that. Yeah, I've just made a really simple, happy life for myself. And I think sorry, I was on about achievements. It's gone to my head, goodness me. I think that, so those are the big achievements. I'm self-sustaining, I'm happy, and I think 5 years of sharing with you guys is a huge achievement. And I know from comments from you all and cards and letters and messages over time that when I've been chatting on about how happy I am, and I mean, I've never ever said that this is easy. I hope I've never made out that it's easy, because it is not. It's not easy. It's hard. This isn't a pity party either, by the way. I just don't want people taking that jump and thinking, oh, you know, well, Vivi, there she is. She's chatting at the sewing machine and cooking some of her veggies. I want to do that. Literally every single day, you're accountable for your life every single day. So it's not easy, it's very hard, but it's so rewarding. And I know that some of you have, sorry, I know it's infuriating some of you that I itch my nose. I know that some of you have, over the last 5 years, been inspired to, even if you haven't quite left your job, or when you're in a partnership, you haven't both left your jobs. I know there's quite a few of you where one of you has left your job when you're in a partnership. I know there's quite a few of you who've reduced and gone part-time with your hours. For me, that's a great achievement, that I've been able to share this joy of the simple things and encourage others to do so, and to encourage others to say, do you know what, I really don't need X, Y and Z. I could quite happily do without. And if I do without that and reduce my expenses, my expenditures, I can have more time in the garden or more time with the kids or the grandkids. So yay, brilliant. Now, I do want to this is why. You know, and I was saying I should do a beer reward for every bed I achieve at the garden. And was it Lisa, you cheeky little thing you? She was saying, just do a bed and a beer, put it in kind of, you can do speeded up stop animation, speeded up motion, whatever it is. We just want to see you just drinking more beer, and being worse and worse at doing the beds. Naughty, no. But this is nice for now, as a little celebration. Now, I don't normally talk about numbers in terms of social media. I love numbers. For instance, like doing my accounts, hilariously, a couple of days ago, not hilariously, but it tickled me. I love numbers and accounts. I did my end of year accounts a couple of days ago for the 2021-22 financial year. I'm still below the threshold for paying tax, but of course, I was mentioning this the other day, I do believe in paying national insurance because that's what pays into unemployment benefit, sick pay, disability, all of that. And if we can contribute as a society, we should. We should contribute to help those who really who've run out of options, who need that help. So, and NI, national insurance has gone up, so I recalculated for my annual what that will be if I spread it across all the months. So I recalculated my monthly direct debits, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I got home from all this potato business today, letter from HMRC in England, in the UK, that's Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs. It's the tax collectors. I thought, oh no, what have I opened it and it said, dear Miss Gregory, just to inform you that you should now be starting to think about completing your tax return for the 2021-22 tax year. And I was like, yes, I beat the tax office. Why did I mention that random? Yeah, numbers. So I love numbers. I love doing accounts, but I never really talk about social media numbers because oh gosh, there's so much hype around them, isn't there? Someone will say, I've got 50,000 subscribers. But then you look at their videos and there's only like 500 people watching them. You think the subscriber number does not matter one jot. I've never bothered about my subscriber number, because people subscribe, in the early days and then they stop watching and new subscribers come along, they watch a couple and then they think, oh, it's not for me. Like someone might subscribe after a garden video and then I do 2 chatty videos and they think, why is she not in the garden? I tuned in for gardening. It's all fine. I've always said it's about the viewing numbers and about the comments and our interactions together through comments, which that's what I love. That's what I love in social media. So I don't talk about numbers. I don't talk about subscriber figures. I know other YouTubers get their knickers in a twist when their subscriber numbers, they feel like they're not going up enough. Other people gloat because they've got great numbers. But like I say, it's about the viewings, if you've got 1,000 subscriptions and 1,000 people are watching your videos, that's great. If you've got 40,000 subscribers, but only 4,000 people are watching your videos, that's not great. Shut up gloating. Anyway, so I'm not going to talk about subscriber numbers because it doesn't matter. All that matters is there are enough of you watching regularly to make it a wonderful community and to make the work that goes into it worthwhile. I kind of mentioned earlier about YouTube, I spend about 30 hours on YouTube each week. That's for 3 videos. Each video is about 10 hours of work. People might think, what? What are you talking about? Making the video, editing, rendering, saving, but then, and this is my USP, unique selling point, I still, 5 years on, I answer every single comment on the videos, and it's not just comments. I get emails, I get messages sent privately via my Facebook page. I answer every single one of you. And I love it because I think if you've taken the time to watch my video and leave a comment or ask me a question via Facebook, yeah, I'm going to give you a bit of time back. That's where the time gets added in. So yeah, it works out, it's about 30 hours a week I do. So it's like my pay is like £1 an hour, £1.20 an hour. Doesn't matter because I fit it around, I can do an 18-hour workday easily without it killing me because, I can do hard physical stuff in the garden. Then I can come home and do sewing. after a while your arms, fingers ache, whatever. And then I could do 4 or 5 hours on the computer talking to you all. I can manage it all. It's great. So, anyway, yes, never mind subscribers, but here are a couple of staggering numbers that I wanted to share with you. It's one glass. I better slow down. Slow down? That's boring. Honestly, I'm going to be Patsy in about half an hour. Ab-fab fans. So, in 5 years, I just checked, looked at the numbers. This is a couple of days ago, so they might have changed a bit. In terms of views, how many people have watched my videos? As in, I put a video out and maybe they average about 4,000 or 5,000 views nowadays. Obviously, in the beginning, they didn't. So, how many people have watched my videos? This blows my mind. It's over 3.7 million. Imagine if that was all individuals. You know, over 3.5 million people have watched one of my videos. Oh, amazing. Now, obviously, it's not over 3.5 million individuals, because a lot of you are repeat offenders, aren't you? But yeah, that staggered me. 3.7 something million views. And what really surprised me, because I've had a couple of gaps. I had a chunk of time missing after Auntie Teapot died. I had a little chunk of time missing at the end of January into February this year. Obviously, I was poorly. But over the 5 years, I have made 750 videos. 750 videos. That's an average of 150 videos a year. That's an average of 3 videos per week. 3 videos per week, every week, week in, week out for 5 years. Amazing. And I hope over that time, you know, obviously things change, things morph. When I started the channel, I thought it was going to be a focus on growing my own food. That was going to be the primary focus. And it kind of was, and it still is a big focus of the channel. But other things have come along over the years, and we've looked at sort of living without a wage, that like super frugal thing. And this year we're doing a low spend year. So I don't know how long I'll do YouTube for. I love doing it. I really enjoy the interactions. I don't plan to do 3 videos a year. A year? That would be... I don't plan to do 3 videos a week forever. You know, maybe this year I'll do 3 videos a week. Maybe the year after I still will. But I would say that probably in the next 2 or 3 years, there'll be slightly less video content from me, because I want to be busier with the sewing. But I'm only talking about dropping to 2 videos a week, for goodness sakes. So yeah, what amazing numbers they are. And ultimately, that's you. So you know what, actually, yeah, well done me for me 5 years, but also I'm going to raise my glass to all of you to say thank you. Thank you so much for... I've got an empty glass, hang on a minute. Empty that bit properly. Oh, it's going straight to my head. That's a really bad pour. Hang on. Wait, have my cheeks gone? I'm half out the corner of my eye. I can see the screen. I feel like I've got ruddy cheeks. I don't care. Yeah. Thank you for watching. Thank you for commenting. I love it when you engage with me in that way. But you know what? I know there are a lot of you who watch and never comment. And then one day you will suddenly drop a little comment to say, I never comment, but hello. And that's so lovely. So I know that there's loads, well, obviously there's loads of you who watch who don't comment, because those figures are very different. I know that there are a few of you who've been with me since the very beginning of my channel. I really appreciate that. Some people come, some people go. It's all fine. It's all good. Drop in when you feel like it. If you want to drop in for a chat anytime, drop in for a chat. If you want to drop out and get on with something else, that's also fine. But ultimately, you know, the shop, the majority of my customers are you viewers as well. So in fact, all of this success I've managed to build over the last 5 years, both the shop, sewing, YouTube, it's all you guys. It's all down to you. So thank you. Bottom of my heart, thank you. I was about to get really soppy and daft then. I'm not going to. I've got to concentrate and get on with the rest of my day. Just looked at the clock out the corner. Right. I've gone on long enough. I didn't mean to, but it is a really special occasion. I'm super proud of myself. And I'm super shocked. I come back to that very original point that I was making of, imagine the paycheck you just got today or this week or wherever it is when you get your paycheck at the end of the month. Imagine if that was your last ever paycheck. How would tomorrow look for you? How would the next month look? How would the next year look? I don't wish that on anyone, by the way, who isn't prepared. I don't want anyone getting made redundant. But yeah, just think for a minute about how would you get through the next year knowing that that's your last paycheck? And that'll start to give you some idea of what I had to think like back in April 2017. Who would have thought that such happiness could come out of that adversity of having to leave my job because of my health? But it did. I'm chuffed. Right. I'm going to say cheerio to you all for now. Next time I see you, in the potato bed. And just getting on with growing my own food and keeping myself going. So until then, please look after yourselves and thank you. Just thank you to all of you because, well, you're the reason I'm here and you're all fabulous. So thank you.